Societies fail. But none fail because they focused too much attention on detecting and correcting their errors. That is to say, criticising too much or too often. A criticism is an explanation of why something is faulty, flawed, or false. It is the necessary precondition for solving a problem to identify what is wrong and correct it. All extinct societies have failed because they have failed to solve their problems in time. One important reason is that in those societies, there have become taboos that have slowed the rate of problem solving. Traditions about who to defer to, for example. The belief that the king must always be deferred to because implicitly he must always be right because he is divinely so. Or some leadership committee or the commissars and so on are required to be above criticism in order to maintain stability, by which is meant order. Laws appear that make it mandatory to speak with deference about the ruler or rulers and never to criticise them. To be critical of this, but never of that. Indeed, to be especially critical of certain ideas, like, say, freedom or equality. Sceptical and perhaps insulting and emotional, not critical in a reasonable way. So, for example, North Koreans must never criticise the leader or regime, but they should be careful to be especially critical of the United States and the system in South Korea. More insulting and emotionally critical, that is, not reasonably critical. In a genuine tradition of criticism, no such taboos can persist, even if they arise for a time, because they will be criticised and corrected. In all areas of life, in an open and dynamic society where there exists a tradition of criticism, frank and honest discussions can be had about all the factors on all sides, from all perspectives about the most pressing problems. Without this panopticon approach to speech and criticism, we end up in a state where certain situations and scenarios cannot be broached and never recognised as actually of civilizational consequence. The traditions within societies that do not cultivate a tradition of criticism do not allow for the conditions for the all-important problems to be identified in time, or if they do not permit them to be broached, or if they do, not broached in the most effective ways. Were any of this false, those civilizations would still be with us, but they are not, because they did not solve their problems in time. The ancient city of Pompeii did not solve its problems in time. They did not know enough about the volcano. Why not? Why was their progress too slow in identifying the risk and saving the members, if only by fleeing in time? Criticism is destabilizing in our society of ideas, but not the society itself that thrives upon criticism. A tradition of criticism imported into, say, North Korea would destabilise that society, but not civilization. Indeed, it would bring about improvements to civilization by criticising it. One might claim, but there have been countless societies without a tradition of criticism that have been stable. I suspect many of them for far longer periods of time than our own, but this is false. There have not been. All those were, demonstrably by the very evidence of their own non-existence now, all inherently unstable. Moreover, what stability they did superficially appear to possess was due to the opposite of a tradition of criticism. They enforced the status quo. This is the inherent instability of that system. For any society, the mere appearance of stability is not actual stability unless there is a good explanation as to why things are not changing. For example, it may superficially appear that an ancient tribe that has existed in the same way for thousands of years is stable. But this is only apparent stability, not genuine stability. They are like pencils balanced on their tip. Sure, if nothing else changes in the environment, there is no little bump, the pencil remains stable, balanced precariously. But is this actual stability? What mechanism is there to prevent it toppling over? Or is there every reason to think that any number of things could make it fall? Our thousands-of-year-old ancient society is unstable in the same way. There is every reason to think that any problem we would easily solve would wipe them out. Their society is inherently unstable, unlike ours, which is stable. but only if we maintain a tradition of criticism. Ours is not like that precariously balanced pencil standing on its tip, but rather it's more like a modern skyscraper with earthquake prevention mechanisms, a great firefighting system, and computer-controlled environment surrounded by surveillance cameras, and with a full-time team of engineers and others maintaining its day-to-day stability, checking each rivet and bolt and column with sensors placed all about the precision-engineered structure. It is maintained, and many of the causes keeping it up are in the conscious awareness of those experts who are continuously finding areas of concern and correcting problems to ensure that should the building move even just a little this way or that, the support structure corrects it to keep it upright. For all societies or individuals, problems are inevitable. Some large number could be lethal and will be lethal, permanently revealing the inherent and latent instability that was always there in the system by destroying it. Unless, of course, the problem is identified in time and corrected in time to maintain the stability. But that requires criticism in time and continuous criticism in time. But that, of course, takes a particular kind of tradition, one that protects criticism, all criticism. It is the only thing that is an explanation for genuine stability, which is quite unlike superficial stability that has persisted, but only by good fortune. We have that too, but not only that. We also have a deeper explanation of the causes that keep us stable, the thing that allows us to change with the problems of our times by adapting, making progress, and improving in time. It's what we're used to now. We're used to criticising things. That's our tradition. It's what keeps the whole thing stable and the whole thing persisting over time.